What is on tap for this episode of Couz's Corner? We're talking the quarterback position at West Virginia, and it looks like Coach Neal Brown may have finally decided who he's going to start at the quarterback position. So pull up a chair, sit back, relax, and let me serve you up this shot of top shelf college football knowledge. What is up, college sports fans, fellow members of Mountaineer Nation? This is Couz, and welcome in to another edition of Couz's Corner. So pull that chair up, and let's dig into today's episode. According to a report from the Voice of Morgantown, and I know many of you don't like it. I'm not a huge fan of some of his stuff either, but like it or not, he's the one who reported this, so I've got to give him credit. But according to the Voice of Morgantown, JT Daniels will be the starting quarterback for the Mountaineers when they take the field at Acrisure Stadium on Thursday night against Pitt. And most of us expected this, so it's not a huge surprise. What has been the surprise is how Coach Brown has not publicly announced his starter. He kind of made it sound like in last week's press conference that he hadn't even decided the starter yet. So, we were kind of unsure what was going on, but it looks like, according to the article, the team has known for several days that JT is going to be the starter, and he plans on announcing that publicly on his radio show, the Neal Brown Show, this upcoming Tuesday night, which is only 2 days before the game. But apparently inside the locker room, they have known for several days. Also in this article, Voice of Morgantown goes on to say that he has not decided who the backup's going to be. He has not named a backup quarterback and does not intend to do so, according to Voice of Morgantown source, until after the season's already started. He says that Garrett Greene, Nico Marchiol, and Goose Crowder are going to continue to compete for the backup job, and that all three of those quarterbacks could potentially be used in certain situations, and that each one needs to be ready to go at a moment's notice. Now, I find that very intriguing. I can understand Garrett Greene being used in certain situations, just like he was a year ago, because of his speed, his athleticism, and his ability to run with the football. However, I find it weird and unusual. I don't know about weird, but unusual that Nico and Goose would also be used in certain situations. The reason I say that is because those guys are past first quarterbacks from everything I've read about them. And so is JT Daniels. So why would you change a play or run just one play in a series or a couple of plays in a series with a quarterback who has essentially this game's same skill set as the one you're starting? So here's the way I'm interpreting this article. I'm interpreting this article like this. JT's going to be the starter. The other three guys are basically neck and neck, and none of them have pulled away from the other two to be the backup. So he's letting them continue the competition until somebody eventually separates themselves. And he may use Garrett Greene in spot situations where they need to run the ball, run an RPO, whatever it may be, just to keep the defense off balance. But I personally do not see him using Nico Marchiol or Goose Crowder in any type of special situation unless JT Daniels were to get hurt. And maybe that's where that comes in at. Maybe he's thinking in the back of his mind, if JT can't stay healthy, maybe he wants one of those two guys to be the backup, and then Garrett Greene still be used in certain situations. Now, what could be happening here, and I hope this is not the case because I don't necessarily agree with this, but he could be using this as his strategy. Coach Neal Brown could be doing this in order to try to keep all four of these quarterbacks happy and to keep them from leaving the program. Now, I hope that's not the case, and I don't think that's the case, but it's possible. He doesn't want to name one guy backup and one of the other two guys leave the program. He knows Garrett Greene's valuable because of his speed and his athleticism and his ability to run. He also sees value in having Goose and Nico there as a potential backup. And one or both of those guys could compete for the starting job next year after JT Daniels leaves. So that might be his thinking, and he doesn't want to see either one of them transfer out. But my opinion, I look for at least one guy to transfer out at the end of this season because I just don't see room on this roster for four quarterbacks. Now, that being said, they don't have a quarterback coming in the 2023 class right now because the one they were recruiting, Raheem Jeter, decommitted, and I think he's now committed to East Carolina. And as far as I know, they have not recruited another quarterback, or at least have not offered another quarterback in the class. If somebody knows differently, let me know in the comment section. Maybe I'm wrong. But he's probably trying to keep all four of these guys on the roster for next year, or at least 3 of them. If JT decides to go to the NFL, he wants the other 3 guys to stay on board. So that could be part of their thinking too. I hope that's not the case, because I feel like if he does that, you're just stringing guys along. And if one of those guys can transfer out and go to another program where they get more playing time, or find a better situation, you might be preventing them from doing that. Now, I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's what he's doing. It's just a possibility. So here's what I think's happening. I think JT's the starter. I think the team knows it. I think he'll announce it publicly on his radio show, which was one thing that a lot of people were speculating already. I think he probably hasn't determined a backup because the 3 guys are basically, like I said, neck and neck in the competition. And he, if something were to happen and JT were to get hurt, then they would decide at that moment who the backup's going to be. May depend on the opponent as to when it happens. May depend on the situation in the game, whatever. And I still think Garrett Greene will be used in special situations where they need a running quarterback. And I'm okay with that as long as they do it properly. Last year, it seemed like it messed up the flow of the offense when they did that. But sometimes it was because Coach Brown, a couple times, he called the wrong play, trying to balance that. But now that they've got an offensive coordinator in Graham Harrell, whose only job basically is to call plays and run the offense, that shouldn't be an issue now. So I'm okay with trying Garrett Greene in these certain situations. But I hope they don't try to use 4 different quarterbacks in the course of one game, because I do not think that's a good idea. I think it messes up the rhythm of your offense. Each guy throws a different type of ball. The receivers get used to catching one ball, and then you switch it up on them. Especially with a left-hander like Nico, you got to have a different spin on the ball. I just don't think, my personal opinion, that's not the best case scenario. But I don't think that's going to be the case. Hopefully, by the time we go into game 1, they will have a clear-cut backup, at least for that game. Let me know in the comment section, Coach's Corner family, what do you think about this situation? Are you a fan of the way Neal Brown has handled this situation, that he's kept everything kind of close to the vest publicly? And do you like the fact that he hasn't yet named a backup? Do you think it's a good idea that these guys are still competing, still pushing each other, or do you think we're too close to game time to still have decisions like this lingering out there? I want to hear your thoughts on it. Don't forget, if you want to check me out on Twitter, my Twitter handle is right above me here in the video. On Instagram, you see my Instagram handle scrolling along the bottom of the screen. Don't forget to check out my merch store. You can join Coach's Corner by hitting the join button right below this video. And shout out to one of my new members, Big Dan T. Big Dan T, I really appreciate you joining Coach's Corner and becoming a channel member. Thank you for all your support. Thank you for all my other channel members as well. If you want to support me absolutely free, there's 4 ways you can do it. You can like this video. You can share this video out with your friends. You can leave a comment under the video like I mentioned earlier. And you can subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. And don't forget, if you subscribe, don't forget to hit that notification bell so you won't miss future videos or live streams that I may have coming up. With that being said, I really appreciate you tuning into this episode. And until the next time, Q Country Roads.